Back. Welcome back. I'm Abby Haggard. I just moved my jacket and I wanted I wanted people to be able to see the sleeve. And I thought, I know, I'll just push that through so you can see it says Abby Mom. And then when I sat down and looked at it, I thought, well, it looks like my jacket like shoes too. That's just so a bit of a cough. I don't have a cough because I'm not well. It's just there's been a lot of frantic flailing the last few hours and days, and so I think it's an outcome of it. Hang on a second. So the universe has a fascinating sense of humor, and what it does is it says, if you truly want to understand how the world feels, here, hold this. And as Rob and I were talking about the other day, good morning, Rob, there you are. So everything seems to be surrounded by or underpinned by the expression, now what? And before everything had sort of gone sideways and upside down and topsy-turvy, the theme for my video today, I'd already written it, and it was winging it. And so what my description is of it today is this: birds aren't guessing when they're winging it. It's what they do. You know, the minute good morning, Maggie, how are you? The minute I wrote that and I stared at it, it was a full-on blink moment. When we see birds doing their V formation, or we see them flapping and flailing in up and down drafts, they're doing the thing they know how to do. They're navigating it. They're working with it. They're working it. And when we're flailing, it's not our thing. And so the conversations that I've had recently with Rob about putting all the ideas into a structure that people can look at and say, oh, I did, so that it becomes a learning curve that people right away realize that they can probably do. They can probably navigate it. It isn't a great big mystery. There literally are these half a dozen steps. Who to thunk it is what goes on in people's minds. Because, of course, they're not birds. They're winging it. And today, more than ever before, people are finding themselves having to wing it. You know, there's a sudden flood in the middle of a national holiday. And the national holiday, which we have had this holiday for 100 and not years, doesn't matter. Mother Nature says, yeah, not today, you're not. And all of the preparations, all of the tiny human ideas to have a lovely time go by the wayside when we were going to have a military fly past, and we were going to have fireworks, and we're going to have this, and there's 40-mile-an-hour winds and rain over 4 millimeters moving into so 4 inches, right? 4 inches into the 10 inches with the high wind. You're not going to go and have a picnic. You're not going to go outside and wave a flag, because that flag will be out of your hands and down the street in 5 seconds. And so this is the thing that we do not seem to be equipped for anymore. We seem to have become not complacent. I don't think that that's fair, but I don't think most of us have been startled by something big enough to realize that we have to be prepared. And again, I'm not talking about shelters below the ground with supplies for 10 years, just basic plan B and C. I'm always talking about door number 3, for instance. Door number 1 and door number 2 are the fight and flee options. We say this or that, we got no choice. And it's not true. There is always a door number 3. But what it takes is the time, the room inside your head, the room inside the panic, to give yourself permission to look at it. And when we are flailing, we forget to breathe. We forget to give ourselves the time. And nothing goes well when we do that. And so it is important because it's not easy to do when part of us feels that this is life or death. The philosophical side of us is under the bed. We don't have time to debate things and evaluate the relevance of no, because pants on fire, flaming chainsaws. So what happened in and around what I'm doing in the last few days, surrounded by people who are similarly flailing, was a really important reminder that it's time to talk about it. So just give me a second. I don't know if you can, I know you can hear me swallowing, because when I listen to the video, I think, good Lord. However, I think you can also hear that my voice just needed to be lubricated, my throat. So birds aren't guessing when they're winging it, because winging it is what they do. How they wing it in a crisis is not something they've looked at strategically. It's something they simply recall from their memory. The subconscious part of the brain just says, oh yeah, I remember this, we do that. And we're doing it. If you've ever driven a car and found yourself on one of two surfaces, surprisingly and suddenly, one is gravel, and the other is something very, very familiar in Canada, probably not so much in the mid and southern states, black ice. The reason it's called black ice is because you can't see it. You know when you're on it, when you try to do anything, like turn or slow, or I don't know, run from the vehicle while it's in motion. Because when your feet hit the ground, and these sudden and unexpected reversals of normal are when we realize that we have not kept ourselves sharp. We have not put together a regular, everyday regimen. And when we don't pay attention to the need for that, when we think, hey, you know, this is good, it's all good, yeah, we're just kind of going with the flow. When the flow stops, we need to be able to do the next thing, not say, where'd the flow go? We need to be able to recalibrate. When you see those visuals, those memes years ago, cars going off a cliff, and you're hearing the GPS saying, recalibrating, recalibrating, recalibrating. That's basically where we are right now. We are not prepared, and we don't prepare ourselves. We don't get ourselves in a position to say, my first three things are these. The first thing that happens is we stand there blinking. The second thing that happens is we panic. The third thing that happens is a lot of us just fall down. And if we have any other baggage we have not dealt with, it looms large and can overpower us. So for all my beauties on LinkedIn, the hundreds and hundreds of you, gosh darn it, 1,800 watching last week, 1,800 little notes and waves from people in England and all over the place. It's awesome. And I know the same thing is happening on Facebook. I can't have 6,100 people. I have 6,100 people. I don't know how that happened. I have 6,100 people. I know you're not up the block. I know you're not all Jenny from the block. You're from everywhere. And it's a kind of a moment to realize that we're all in this together from a very far flung together. It's easy to forget. Susan and I talk about it all the time. You know, she posts something and I said, great post, but only 35 people are going to get it because it's a joke about the neighborhood. And you've got all these hundreds of thousands of billions of people who are saying, what? So just remember that. You got more than one audience. Right. It's a hard thing to fathom. It's like somebody says, can you visualize $1 million? no, I can visualize a pile of money, but I don't know if the pile I'm visualizing is even close to what a million is. So if we cannot see it, if we're not aware that it's there and we cannot see it, we can't fix it. What Rob and I were talking about with the lion effect, and what Anne Urquhart and I were doing in orchestrating the way I describe the process, the way I describe. Somebody asked me for a corporate, an executive resume. And you know, it's a funny thing. I have not been asked for a resume since I was 20. And that's, well, it's a while. And what do they call it? A New York minute. and it it's odd to realize that people have just asked because word of mouth, because reliable friend, because how did you do that? Oh, I work with ABCAST. Who? Tell me what? So that's lovely. I mean, it's very, gosh, unhelpful though, when I'm building something that is larger than the typical project. You know, the typical project that I do is, okay, there's three. I will do a C-suite, like a big company, a big transition, billions of dollars on the line, hundreds of billions of dollars on the line. It's not that I'm going to go in and fix $100 million project. I'm going to go in and help the people who are fixing the $100 billion problem. I'm going to go in and talk to them and get them to turn their head just that 1 degree that they are away from the flow, just that 1 degree, and then hold on to them when they go, oh, because that's what they do. And if they spit, holding their coffee when it happens, it's awful. So those are my highest points. The big, and somebody says, why did they call you? Who are you again? And I say, ask him. He called me in, and so then I navigate the issue. I see where the problem mindsets are, and then I reconfigure them. It's like the people who can solve a Rubik's Cube in 5 seconds. I do that with people. Rubik's it. So what happens then? People say, how did I not even see that? And it's insulting to say you were facing the wrong way, because they are who they are and they deserve to feel that way, except that they were facing the wrong way. And they are the canary in the coal mine, that we are all facing the wrong way. We do not have to be the multi-billion-dollar guy or girl. We can be a team leader in a medium-sized company. We can be a one person entrepreneur operation that for some reason just people love, and its success defies all logic. And we can just be a person who is at a turning point, is at a crossroads. Something has happened. And when it happened, 3, 2, 1, after it happened, everything we thought we knew is no longer the thing we need. Everything we thought was permanent and essential is no longer working in the new, my new me now, my new me now. In my new me now moment, that no longer serves. All right. Well, then we'll get the other one. Which other one was that, dear? Oh, because we didn't have a plan B. We do not in our pocket carry the key to door number 3. We never thought we'd need to. Even if we knew it existed, we didn't think we would need it. So the lion effect that gradually emerged out of imagining in these brilliant brainstorming sessions that Gary Swithenbank and I have was a tangible way to say, we don't transform, we don't transition through alone. We don't come up with our best game on our own. Leaders live in the misconception that it's lonely at the top. It's only true if they think they're supposed to go it alone. They're supposed to make those decisions alone. I'm the head of the household. That doesn't mean you're the only person whose day, week, month, hour, minute, second life is at stake. A family is a system. My accreditors, my credentialing doctors are family systems success and resilience specialists. In the early years of their developing their corporate, outside of their medical training, but built on the foundation of their medical training, their corporate concept, their service, their vision was something that they were evolving, massaging, polishing, and perfecting when someone said, you need to talk to Abby. And when I was invited in, I served as their mirror. I served as their co-conspirator. I served as their, what now what? I don't know. I served as certainly not the voice of reason. I served as the voice of now what? It was years ago working with Dr. Gould, Andrea Gould, that I said, I had always admired the writings of a particular novelist. And in one of his books, he talked about a fellow who was seconded to a government agency called the Department of Unintended Outcomes. And when I read that, every block in my body went click. And I don't mean blockage as in, but every like Lego block locked into place. The Department of Unintended Outcomes. I wrote it down. I put it on a Post-it note. And it is my, if I make this decision, where is it going? You know? And when Andrea and I were brainstorming and massaging her brilliant vision, founded on, predicated on her diagnostic principles and her scientific training, behavioralist and whatnot training, family systems training, I said, well, what if? And what about this? And what happens when? And it would always be funny because I would ask the question in a ridiculous way. And because I use humor because it is the most abrupt pie in the face disruptor, right? It's not painful. It's astonishing. And also it gives you permission to breathe. Right? And we would have these long discussions on the phone, or we would, she would fly up from the States and we would spend quality time together working through and debating and playing devil's advocate. Her outcome, when I reached out to both of them and I said, apparently I need to be some sort of accreditation. Can you do that with me, for me? And they said, well, why haven't you asked earlier? I don't know. I didn't need it. Apparently now I do. So they sent me this lovely thing. What people do not understand is that most animals collaborate for safety, collaborate for survival, and collaborate for thriving and growing, because no one animal has the capacity to juggle all the threats and all the opportunities on its own. Most animals don't have prehensile thumbs, for instance, or hands. So it is incumbent upon them to gather around them a tribe, a pride, a team, but not leader and team. No, co-conspirators. with equal kinds of input from totally different directions at the same level. And people call it a brain trust, they call it a mastermind. Probably co-conspiracy is an unhelpful term. However, it is what we're doing. It is what we are evolving. It is what we are seeing is a combined, layered vision of the way forward. And when we're young and we are taught that there's safety in numbers, we're not taught that there is safety in all the numbers. We're simply taught, go get more people. And sometimes when you go get more people, they're dramatically the wrong people. We weren't taught what kind of people. Or unhelpfully, we were taught, stay small, stay predictable. People like us do things like this. One of the most interesting proofs that we are we and they are them, and never should they blend, was an interesting thing that happened hundreds of years ago in Spain. During the reign of the Habsburgs, during the time of the Habsburgs. And they had decided, it also happened in Egypt long before. They had decided, because there was no scientific evidence to prove them wrong, that the pure bloodline would always be the best. And so families married into families. And we kept the dynasty pure. What they didn't understand then, that people begin to see, is that you don't improve the strain, you don't improve the strength of the DNA by interbreeding. What you do is you weaken it. And famously, the outcome with the Habsburgs was they developed a speech impediment. And because they were the upper class, the wealthy, the elite, the Castilians, it became known as the Castilian lisp. And so you had all these people speaking like this, and it was considered a mark of high breeding. However, it was the visible signal that other things in the brain were not going well. And you had a huge increase of infant mortality, stillbirths, and the same back in Egypt. What they're looking at in situations, for instance, King Tut, what they're looking at is what may have been a genetic deformity that gradually became so serious that an injury, I don't want to say an ordinary injury, but an injury in battle, was something that the young king couldn't survive. So understanding that it's not merely many hands make light the work. It's many different hands with different capacities, bringing different gifts and strengths and points of view that make us strong. So when I said this morning, I'm winging it, and I said, and in the title, in the theme of this video, I also said in the description, and now what strategy isn't meant to be what we say after the disaster. The now what strategy is where to start before we start. It's the preemptive strike. It is the preemptive risk mitigation attack method. One of the worksheets that I give the people who are, in my clinics and the clients that I take on, it's called a now what time scheduler. And it's just a regular week. And along the left side, you got the days and you got and along the left side is a list of all the things we do in a given day. And it's not, down to the tiny detail. It's getting up, getting organized, right? A meal, cleaning up after the meal, commuting to wherever you work, whether it's, you have to portage, or you get on a bus, or you circumnavigate the rapids, whatever it is, that takes time. What you do when you get to where you're going, what you do when you take a break, what you do on the way home, maintenance, get a flat tire, you got to buy groceries, you're short on fuel, dropping in to see a friend, spending time studying something, realizing that you've got a run in the last pair of pantyhose, you go get new stockings, got to get dog food, cat food, whatever food. These are all blocks of time that we don't consider when we think about what we do in a day. So I make up this scheduler, and I say at the beginning of our work together is you're going to monitor yourself for a week. You don't need a stopwatch. Do it in general. But I want you to realize how much time you're spending at entertainment, watching, screen time, whatever, lying face down on the cool tiles in the kitchen floor, whatever it is, and then sleep. Let's not forget sleep. List all those things. So I have the general categories on the left, and just below the bottom that says total, I have a blank box, and in it, I've got new thing. Because people don't realize that when they want to start a new thing, they only have 24 hours in a day. We never have any left over. Have you noticed that? We never have any left over. At the end of the 24 hours, we start again. In order to do a new thing, we have to remove time we invested in one of those other things. Deliberately remove the time. And inevitably, I remember when I was talking to Maggie, and she said, I had no idea how much time I spent watching Netflix. No idea. I was embarrassed. Okay. So that's where you could take the time. Yeah, absolutely. Because the new thing is so exciting. It outweighs anything you could watch on Netflix, which, by the way, you can watch again later, or a next day. You can watch it while you're celebrating how successful your new thing has been. There is nothing really that cannot be adjusted, because I've got to tell you, the national celebration in Canada for the anniversary of the founding of our country, all those plans and schemes all across the country, anywhere there was a storm the magnitude of the one that we weathered that day, all those plans and schemes, all the time invested in getting ready to have those and do those and be those, yeah, changed. The new thing was the storm. The new thing was the flooding. The new thing was I have no basement. The new thing is now I'm wondering about black mold. The new thing is all the things that I cherished that I had in the basement, gone. We don't get to decide that one. So let's decide the other one. The lion effect is how we not only leverage the power of our connections, we leverage the perspective and the passion and the purpose, individually different. We leverage it as a combined recipe for success. If I'm driven for this reason, and they are driven for that reason, and you are driven for the other reason, and we put it all together, we've suddenly become a Roman phalanx. We are suddenly three shields surrounding ourselves against risk. We are exponentially stronger. It's not 1 + 1 + 1. It is power of an incredible magnitude. Just as I said that, I had this ridiculous thing happen in my head, and it's going to make you go blink and say, what? So I did animated cartoon voicing, and I voiced 3 of the original 6 Care Bears. And the Care Bears strategy for bringing people out of self-sabotage and back to their true self their state of strength and flow was the Care Bear stare. And it would radiate these ripples of energy. And they would all say in unison, time for the Care Bear stare. And they do this thing. And kids loved it. What a brilliant, brilliant way to teach kids that together we're better. Together there are solutions. Together we are invincible. The most tiny, cuddly, soft Pillsbury Doughboy superheroes you can imagine, with all their little differentiators way back in the day. My friend Bear was clumsy. He was a very brave superhero, but not always out. Hang on, I'm stuck. Was that bear? I loved him. The other bears, of course, Wish Bear, and Love a Lot Bear. I mean, I loved them, but I got to tell you, friend Bear, that bear, don't let him carry breakable things, but oh gosh, the heart of a hero. And we all are all those things. We all individually have all those layers. This is not multiple personality disorder. This is the way the human creature is shaped. It is how we have evolved. My whole concept of pivotry in motion is this is not the time for us to be soft and cuddly. This is the time for us to be shrewd and pragmatic. Fine, switch gears. And we have that capacity. If we don't know we do, then we won't know that we can. And we will feel helpless. We will feel overwhelmed and terribly, terribly scared. Part of my training with people is to, I'm not teaching it. I'm not saying memorize this, it's going to be on the final test. I'm giving them exercises, and I'm giving you opportunities to prove to you, for you to prove to you that apparently Abby was right. Not only for Abby, but it seems to be working for me. And everybody collectively goes, huh, who knew? And then you own it. You own your discovery that capacity has always been there. No one mentioned it. You just do it. And you do it so fast. And then the next right thing that happens has you so busy. Nobody really spends any time saying, how did I do that? How did I pull that off? Or we do. We say, how do I? But then something else happens and we don't investigate it. Well, with me, you do. With me, first of all, I help you experience it. I'm not going to say, now, right now, we're going to show you how. No, we do an exercise, and I'm not going to tell you which one it is. So we do an exercise, and we work together, and we practice and we polish, and then we present it to each other. And about 15 minutes after we've done that, we've taken a break and we're getting ready to start the new thing. Somebody says, I hear them, they go, huh? And I say, something? And now we have the conversation. Well, how did that work? And now it's fun because it's not, how will it work? It's not skepticism. It's curiosity, because it clearly did. Will it do it every time? Yes. How do you know? Want to see me do it again? Yeah. All right. When are you going to do it? Well, I'm not going to tell you. I'll give you the opportunity. Don't you worry. Don't you worry your pretty little head. I'll give you the opportunity. And as often as they need it, I show them that they are, that they can, that they always have and always will. Rise above whatever that is, using this incredible skill. That's foundational to the Lion Effect. The collaborative nature, the togetherness nature, the integrated nature, and let's not forget the comfort zone nature of knowing it's more than somebody's got your back. It's somebody was doing the practice with you and they know how to parry and thrust. The best people I work with are the people I can turn my back on in the midst of busy and know that whatever choice they make, however out of the box it is going to be their best take, and it's going to work. And then we can polish it and perfect it when we have a moment. Those are the people who know they can because they have and because I showed them. That's what you just did. That's what just happened. Want to see us do it again. And over the years, I had the most brilliant phone conversation last night with this amazing man who works in Ohio, travels all over the world with a major conglomerate, going in and fixing things and, you know, replacing Band-Aids and pulling people out of the fire. And every so often, when I'm doing something big, he calls personal time and gets on 3 flights, because you can't get anywhere from there, between there and here, gets on 3 flights and joins me in the scrum. And it's hilarious. It's a riot. It's creative. And it is also indispensable. And we both know it. And the day he discovered what I was talking about was not the first time he was there to assist me. It was, however, the most remarkably pivotal moment for him, because he had had no idea that it was even possible to do things like that. And it's changed everything about his career. It's changed everything about his life. It's changed everything about his resilience. I just recently navigated something very frightening, very last minute, horrifying. It began with a small trickle, 1 pebble. And faster, like any avalanche, faster than you could say, perhaps you want to step over here. It was horrifying. And there was a moment where it felt like all of my, because I never have a plan A, B, C, D. I have 5 backup plans at all times, always, because I am in an unpredictable career path. I am in communications, entertainment, and education. And what that path is not a kidney dialysis machine. It's not the children won't eat if we don't work with you. It's not thank God you know how to put out a forest fire. And therefore, even though for many people it was pivotal, it did change their lives completely, it turned their careers around. It took them from the place they thought they were to the place they had always dreamed they would be. It was disposable. And all of a sudden, all of my clients hit those walls. All of a sudden, I was standing on the very edge, holding on to the very, very fine fraying thread of strategy 5. And the part of me inside that says, no matter what, we got this, At one point, I heard myself say, and I'm going to be so excited to see how I do it and what it is, because I really did not know what I was capable of doing to stay in flow was shift my when I was dealing with, and then I had to wait in order to deal with the next. I was able to shift out of the spinning and focus on productive things. That's my flow training. That's my 1 degree essential training that I teach as well. That is what allows a national hockey league, a national football league, a Mount Everest climber to not only reach the end, but survive and win while something else horrific, devastating, cataclysmic is going on. I know how that works. So I used it. And here we are. The sun will come out tomorrow. It did kind of in the middle of the rain. The sun always comes out tomorrow. So the reason I wanted to focus, and I am focusing so strongly on this, I have re-engineered thousands of people. I've posted an online clinic for people to do through August to completely reset and ready themselves for September. Because this September is going to be unlike any previous September. So many shifts have taken place in the world, far away, mid-range, and at home. So many changes, not in any one category, in all of the human categories. So many changes. And while we are going through our summer, while we have that time when we say, kids are out of school, let's take a break. Let's, you know what, we need to spend quality time. Let's go do that. Maybe we'll travel, just go to the cottage, maybe just do a staycation. And we stand down. We don't go to the gym every day. We don't do the run every morning. We give ourselves a bit of a break. What the hell? Everybody deserves a break. No, not continuously. Because if we, you know what, we skip the gym, and then next week we skip it twice, and then the third week right? And the next thing you know, we go back and now everything hurts. And how did that happen so fast? Because maintain only happens when train takes place, when we decide we deserve. It's not that we don't deserve a break today. It's that we deserve a recalibrate today. We deserve to say, okay, I know I need to work out. I'm not feeling the gym though. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do enough of the bits and pieces of it, but I'll do it at home with some music. I'll put on a crazy video. I'll do it differently. I'll do it outside. I'll do it in some way. I will shift the same old of it to give myself a recalibrate. The gift I'm giving myself, though, is not taking a break. If I'm going to the cottage, okay, but still put in the walk, still put in the leg raises and the chair exercise and the whatever. Do the work that is the gift we give. I'm not going to do calisthenics with you. I'll tell you right now. What I am going to do is brain calisthenics with you. What I am going to do is show you where door number 3 is, what your strength is, why it hasn't been working, how you can position yourself with your head just above the rest of the people. In the primitive world of the jungle, nobody wants their head above the crowd because the lion says, oh, look, there's lunch. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about in society, if you want to be noticed, you have to be seen and heard. If you want to be valued, you have to prove that you deserve. not chase the opportunity, invite the recognition. I don't know how many people say, oh, you need to do a resume like this. Oh, you need to do a resume like that. And every single person was telling me how to do a resume that would suit them, even though they know that I'm different. It finally took a collaborative effort. Once again, the lion effect, talking to people who said, you know what you do that's different? And we need friends like that. We need colleagues like that. We need our brain trust pride like that. We need the lion effect on purpose, consciously chosen, deliberately prioritized. The reason we don't understand that it's essential and why we can do it, we just do it without realizing it, and we don't rely on it when we need it, is because no one ever told us who, what, why, when, where, how. We learn by mirroring. If no one said, you need your core, you need your team, you need your crew, not to hang out with, although that's true. You need the core that brings to the table what you do not do, what you do not have. There's a phenomenon, brilliant woman, former client, just brilliant woman, Patricia, said to me, there is a phenomenon called the one-legged table. And it's a product of people like us do things like this. It's a survival mechanism. We tend to hire people, surround ourselves with people who remind us of ourselves. All we end up with then are clones. We don't do well, we don't grow, we don't thrive, and we certainly don't prosper and generalize and become layered if there's 5 of us who are exactly the same. The military takes individuals, puts them through boot camp, training camp, to remove the differences, so that in a time of war, everybody will know to lead with the left foot. Everybody in a time of marching will know to do it this way. Why it's important to keep the weapons ready. Why it's important to clean up after yourself. Why it's important to know exactly what that man and that woman and those people are going to do because you've practiced it and rehearsed it. Same with professional athletes. Same with surgical teams, police teams, firefighters. Practice, practice, rehearse, rehearse. And once all of that is done and perfected, and only then do we bring back, invite back the unique, brilliant, individual, special skills that act like the icing and the cherry and the sparkler on the cake of our collaborative survival. We don't bring in our differences at the beginning. We find our similarities, and then we expand and colorize the shades of gray experience. Interestingly enough, it is Thursday, the 30th of August. I still have my evening clinics open. I've posted them on LinkedIn. I've posted them on Facebook. I have thousands of people looking at my things. There is no reason why people are not reaching out to say, tell me more about it. They have the contact information. There's no reason why they're ignoring it, saying, oh, that looks really cool. Oh, that looks really cool. There's no reason for that. They know who I am. They know what I do. They watch these videos. They've seen all the books. They've seen all the people. They've seen all the outcomes that I create. When I did the last fan event in Ottawa, the organizer said, "Did you just hijack my show?" And I said, "Sweetheart, I hope this doesn't ruin our friendship, but I have hijacked all of the shows since I started coming." He said, "We need to talk about this later. I'm a little busy because the show is still on. I want to know how you did that." I said, "Certainly, I'd be happy to share." What do I mean by hijacking? I mean giving people a reason to gravitate to where I am, because consciously or unconsciously, they know that when we have our connection, our moment, they feel different and they walk away for the rest of the day, week, whatever, exhilarated and empowered. I ran into a sweet couple, and the husband came over and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we found you. We went to your normal space where your booth was and it's not there. I was so glad. We so missed you. It's been a year." And I said, "Well, that's wonderful. Thank you. That's lovely." It's when they were young, they were fans of one of the shows that I did. And he said, it's like you're a family member and we only see you once a year. And it's like a family reunion. Can I have a hug?" Do you know how many people don't say that to a named celebrity at a fan convention? All of them don't say that. Because what I do is I step outside the confining box of Abby celebrity, Abby mom, and I become Abby us. Because that's how it works. I'm training people without telling them in the process, the family system that is the Lion effect. And after I'm sure they've got it, that it's in there, it's pattern wired, I'll tell them, but not before. I don't want them distracted. I want them leaning in and loving the learning, because that's how it works. And that's how it works fast. So this video today, 483, was not a hard 11th hour pitch to sign up for my clinics. I even dropped the price. I even made it a 2-for-1. I made it impossible for you to look yourself in the eye in the mirror and say, well, I couldn't afford it, or it wasn't going to be worth it. I took away all your options. And it still isn't working the way it should. It still isn't packed with people the way it should be. August is how we prep for September. It's the 30th of July. It means it hasn't occurred to you that winging it isn't a strategy. It hasn't occurred to you that birds already knew how to fly. I'm never going to say, how's that working for you? Because I know how it's going to work for you. I know how exhausting it's going to be. And I know that you're going to say, oh God, I don't know why I didn't do that. Why didn't I do that? And I am going to say to you in that annoying way that I have, it doesn't matter why you didn't do it. It matters that now you realize you should have, and when do you want to start? Because there is no time like the present. There is no time like right now to say, this is my now what strategic moment. My LinkedIn lovelies, I got a notice last week that a very large number of you from the greater metropolitan Ottawa area, senior level employees in organizations of greater than 10,000 employees or contributors, were watching my videos. I thank you for that. I thank you for the decision to say, I wonder what else she might teach us. I love the idea that you are enjoying the combination of wit and wisdom. What I am wondering, what I am asking is, when are you going to take it seriously? When are you going to say, I need to reach out to her? The videos are great. However, and it's the however that matters, life is not getting easier. Life is getting more layered. And I'm willing to bet you haven't been practicing juggling your flaming chainsaws. So let's talk. Let's get together, have you tell me why you don't think you need me to coach you, to counsel you, to help you transition from one stage in your life to the other, whether it's a life situation, a relationship, or you're moving through your jobs and there's going to be a downsize, an upgrade, or whatever. If you don't have a strategy, if you don't have a position, if you don't have your options clear, then what they say to you is not an invitation. It's a marching order. Because you won't be able to bring strategic tools to evaluate, to elevate, to co-create. And this is what I do. It's almost 11 o'clock, lovelies. And it's Thursday. When I say today, be good to you, I'm talking about this. Birds aren't guessing when they wing it. They already knew how to fly. And by the way, you know how they learned? They didn't wait until they were ready. Readiness doesn't exist. Readiness is a stalling tactic. How they learned was their parent poked them out of the nest. And they discovered during the downward trajectory, amidst surprise, that they could do it. That is the truth about life. That is the reality. Of course they can wing it. Look what they did the first time. And we do it too. So, as I said, be good to you. Not only do you deserve it, but all the people around you, the ripple effect that you create in the world, in all your relationships, in your own tiny family, in your community, in your activities, in your job, in your city, your community, in the world. We are the ripples on the pond. We all deserve better. Starts here. It starts deciding, yeah, I'm walking here. And now I want to walk here a little differently and a little better instead of in circles. Remember to hug your loved ones because they're in the same boat with you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of something that I just felt was going to be the only way to prove to myself first and to everyone that this concept I have is real, it's valid, it's important, and it's exciting. And it's working. So I hope to hear from you before my next video. I hope I hear from you to say, tell me about this clinic. And if not, I will see you during my next video. Be safe. Thank you so much for watching.